All right, everybody. For those of you who don't know, my name is Michael Forrest, and welcome to It's Go Time. Now, before we get going, I'd like to ask if you could stay off of this stage area, please, because this way nobody blocks the display, and it gives me a little bit of room to move around, do a whole hosting thing, right? Also, also, if I could ask you not to send me any text messages during the show. I know a lot of people have been doing that lately. And when you're up here and you're performing and you're into a bit, and all of a sudden you hit a wall of text, it can throw you off a lot. So I'd appreciate it if you don't do that thing. Also, if I can direct your attention to the menu wheel in your lower left, you're going to notice that there's a microphone icon at the top. And when that microphone icon is clear, that means, that I can hear you guys and what's happening in your environment. So, we've gone ahead and we've turned that to red, and this means you're muted. So if somebody comes into your space and says, hey, are you still on that thing? We're not going to hear that, so feel free to answer them. Likewise, if you have maybe a dog barking in the background, you won't face social ruin back at the campfire by becoming known as the avatar that suddenly started barking during its go time, right? Now, just because you're muted does not mean you can't express yourself. You can and should use this pink cheek smiley emoji in your menu wheel. When you click on that, your emoji panel opens up in front of you, offering you a wide variety of options in which to express yourself. If I share something really deep, something really meaningful and powerful, and it touches you right here, and it starts to build up, you can just let it out and just let it flow just like that. Maybe I got some dancers backstage, right? And they come out and we break into It's Go Time, the musical, and you're very impressed. You can throw up the applause that I live for, and I can take a moment to drink it all in because it feels good. All right. Also, if I ask you guys a yes or no question, you can say yes by smiling like this. You can say no by frowning like that. If I say something funny, you can show the silly faced emoji to show that you're laughing like that, right? And then there's this thing, by far the most distracting of all emojis. And, this is the kind of thing, this is not how you ask a question. We will be taking questions and comments at the end, but if you throw this up, this is to let me know that there's a problem. So if I'm up here and I'm moving my hands around like this, I look really animated, and you're like, wow, that guy looks really into it, but he's not talking. It's really strange. That's the kind of thing you'd want to let me know about. Or maybe my moderators have seen one show too many, and they're like, oh man, he's doing the emoji bit again. I can't take it anymore. And they decide to burn down the set, and they, light the display on fire and all this stuff. That has happened. It's a real problem. And that's the kind of thing I'm going to want to know about. And you guys got to let me know that if something like that happens, right? That's going to be like our pact. Right, it's our agreement. You let me know if there's a problem. You do it by doing this. Now, if I see, one going up like that, I'm going to keep on going because sometimes somebody's just messing around. But if I see 5 going up at the same time, I know there's a problem I need to address. And I'm going to do my best to take care of that. You're going to notice there's an X in the middle of this panel too, and that'll close that panel. But it's a good idea to leave it open during events like this because you know what? Like, it gives me feedback. It lets me know how I'm doing. But more importantly, it lets the people around you know what you're experiencing. So if the person next to you starts going like this, that means they found something funny, right? And you may not agree. You might be like, cool, that's not funny at all. I'm going to go stand over here. I don't agree with that. And you can do that because this is VR. You can stand anywhere you like except the stage. All right. That's our pact. That's our agreement. That's our sacred bond, audience. Right. That's an agreement that you and I have together. All right. Now, Go Time, if I didn't mention this before, is an event for Oculus Go users, but all are welcome. So if you're on another device, feel free to hang out. You may pick up some information that helps the very large Go community in Altspace. There's a lot of Go users in Altspace, and there's new Go users coming in each and every day. All right. And the stuff we're going to talk about is, basically, because to be on a Go in Altspace is not without its challenges. All right. It can be a difficult experience, and we're going to show you how to address that. Speaking of challenges, I've been in bed for about the past year and a half or so due to a medical condition. It's gotten a lot better, but when my Go first arrived, I couldn't wait because for me, this was like a way of increasing my mobility, right? And I was just, really excited about it arriving. And, and I just couldn't wait for it, And when, remember that feeling you got when you first put on a VR headset, that feeling of being taken away to another world, right? It's something really special about that, right? And I've been researching Altspace for a while before I actually got my headset. And when my headset arrived, this was my first stop. Right. And when I came out of the load screen for the very first time, the first thing I did was I looked up and I saw, the VR sky. Right. And it looked a lot like the sky that I remembered in the real world. And, I was very grateful for this. And I was so grateful I started volunteering like right away. That very first day I was in Altspace, I started moderating events. And what I found was my battery wouldn't last through an entire event. So I had to charge my device, come back in, try to find the host and explain why I flaked out. Right. And, this led to some problems. Right. And, what happened was after that, I started asking questions like, how can I improve my experience? And the answers I got to those questions are, led to this event. because in the beginning, I heard some things, right? I heard, like, for example, people told me that I wouldn't be able to work this laser pointer on an Oculus Go. And you know what? That turned out to not be true. These slides behind me, which sometimes work, sometimes don't, I was told that these wouldn't work either on an Oculus Go, and that turned out to not be true. I was also told that despite having a background presenting material like this, that my device wasn't reliable enough for me to host events. Not only did that turn out to not be true, right, but I became a very prolific event host in Altspace. I do about 8 events a week. I've done over 300 events, and more than half of them were done unperformed on an Oculus Go. All right. So, it is possible. You can do it. And, that's not to say there aren't any problems being on the go. There absolutely are. But most of these problems are solvable. And the ones that aren't can at least be managed. And I'm going to show you how to do that. We're going to go over that stuff today. All right. There's 2 routes you can take. You can work with what you already have on your head. So before you even leave here today, you're going to know some stuff to improve your performance. Okay. But you can also upgrade your experience to exceed the limitations of your device. And I say it that way because, listen, if you've been here before, I can't stand that term. All right, there's a lot of terms that get thrown around the Discord too, like weaker device, inferior device. I hate that stuff, right? Because to me, if I'm on a Quest now, but if I came in on an Oculus Quest, I would not have stayed. On the Go, you don't have to worry about the vertical movement. I had a lot of dizziness issues in the beginning, and you don't have to worry about the complexity of 2 controllers. The Go is great in that it allows you to get used to VR, at your own pace at a reasonable price. It's a great introduction. It's a fantastic device, and I feel about the Go the way most people feel about their first car or something like that, right? And there's another term that gets tossed around Altspace a lot, and that's communities. There's a lot of rich and diverse communities represented in Altspace. And you have to remember that you're a part of that community, not what kind of headset you use, right? You got to remember that you're not your headset any more than you are your house or your car, right? Your headset's just a vehicle that brings you in here, right? And after that, it's all you, right? And you got to pay to remember that. Now, that's not to say there aren't any problems being on the go. There are, right? And let's address some of them, right? In the very beginning, you may not realize this, but your headset loses power even when it's not in use. So, for example, like you put your headset down on a table and, in nighttime, and then in the morning you go to use your headset, it's going to have less battery power. And if you come into Altspace with, say, 20% battery power, right, you're going to notice that your screen flickers around and you're going to have some performance problems. So it's your job to keep that, charged up as much as possible. And the reason this happens is because your headset, it's searching for app updates, firmware updates. Maybe maybe it has a pen pal on the other side of the world. Maybe your headset has a whole secret life you don't know anything about, and that can be devastating to find out something like that. It really can. So what you're going to want to do is before, take a look at altvr.com and see what events are coming up that you'd like to go to. And you say, you look at the schedule and you see, oh wow, Go Time's on tonight. I've heard great things about the host. I heard he's amazing. I heard he's got this hair. I've heard he's got these glasses. I've heard he's got this shirt you start to see everywhere, right? And you're going to make an effort to come in. So what you're going to want to do is you're going to want to charge the device about an hour before the event starts, right? And then you're going to come in Altspace, right? And now, so once you put your device on your head, right, the very first thing you want to do, and make this a habit, all right, what you're going to want to do is, that power button in the middle where you're turning the device on, what you're going to want to do, the very first thing, as soon as you get it on your head, is you're going to want to press and hold that middle button down for about 4 seconds. After that, you're going to see 3 buttons appear in the air in front of you, and the middle button is going to be a restart button, and you press that, and your device will restart. What this does is going to clear out all the temporary files, right? So think of it as clearing your mind before you come into Altspace. Then you step into the load screen, and you come out into Altspace. And you may have noticed what an important role body language plays in Altspace, right? You can say a lot without actually saying anything. Like if you're in an event like this and a moderator walks up to you and they start shaking their head slowly back and forth, that means don't do that thing, right? You can feel that. Or maybe somebody makes it up on the stage and I start going like this, like I'm waving them off the stage like that, right? And get off my stage, right? Now, what can happen sometimes on the go is your real world hand might be right here, but your avatar's hand might be way up here. And when that happens and I go to wave somebody off the stage, it's going to look like I'm going, hey, everybody, welcome to time. And I'm not saying that. I'm saying get off my stage. It's a dangerous place. You can get hurt. I'm a trained professional. Things can go horribly wrong, and we're not insured for that. All right? So what you can see is how to take care of this if this happens to you and you find that your hand isn't where it's supposed to be, right, is if you hold your hand out at your side, right, you're going to notice on your trackpad, you've got on your controller, you've got your trackpad. Then you've got a button below that and a button below that. So the very bottom button, you have to think of this as an eject button. It's the best way to leave Altspace. And if you were to press, don't do it now, because somebody always disappears when I talk about this. But if you were to press it once right now, what would happen is you'd see a button to quit or resume. Right on the main Oculus menu, you'd see quit or resume. When you press resume, you get taken right back into Altspace, and it's like you never left. It's like an out of avatar experience, right? You're just frozen for a moment. But then you could also quit, and that will close the app, restart the app, and that's going to take care of most of the problems that you're going to have in here. But But when you press on that, this button does something else. Now, if you look straight ahead and you hold your hand at your side and you press and hold that bottom button down for about 4 seconds, you're going to see a white circle appear in the air in front of you. See, somebody just did it now. Somebody always tries it. That's awesome, right? And you kind of, your hand will just snap into place, right? So you look ahead, you hold that bottom button down for about 4 seconds. That white circle spins, your hand snaps into place, and then take a good look at your hand and ask yourself, is this where my hand is in the real world? If it is, then you're good. If it's not comfortable still, do it again as many times as it takes until it feels comfortable. Only you can determine what's comfortable for you, right? So, that'll help out with that. Now, another thing that can happen from time to time in Altspace is you're going to notice that menu wheel on your lower left where all the circles. What you're going to notice is that it can drift around, like it can move behind you, or maybe it can move in front of you and make you feel a little off balance. When that happens, it's not always so easy to open the main menu. What you have to remember on an Oculus Go is that your main menu is in your hands at all times. The trackpad just below that is a button, so that's that middle button right there. When you press on that, your main menu is going to open up in front of you. And if you press it again, your main menu will close, right? So you won't always have to hit that blue and white triangle there. So what you can do is, if you're looking straight ahead when you do this, that's also going to reset the position of your menu wheel in the lower left. So if you find that your menu wheel drifts somewhere you don't want it to be, just look straight ahead, tap that middle button, and your main menu will open, tap it again, and then what's going to happen is it'll close, and the menu wheel is going to be back where it's supposed to be. All right. Another thing that can happen, listen, one of the best pieces of advice I got in the very beginning was somebody told me to turn my brightness down. I did not want to do it. I wanted to have the best experience graphically in Altspace that I possibly could. And to me, this meant having my brightness up to like retina burning levels, right? It was painful, but my graphics were awesome. Or so I thought. So, what happened was, 1 second. Oof, how's it going? You gotta quit doing that, okay? All right, thanks. All right, so yeah, what could happen is I had the brightness turned way up, and I thought that this meant I was going to have better graphics. But so very reluctantly, every time I came into Altspace, what I did was on the Oculus main menu on the lower right-hand side, it says settings, and where it says settings, and right in the middle, once you press on that, it says brightness, and I turned auto brightness off, and there's this big blue bar where you can adjust the setting, the brightness, and every time I came into Altspace, I would turn it down a little bit more and a little bit more, until finally the brightness was completely off, and I came into Altspace, and I could not believe what I saw. Back then, I was helping out with this event, and all the moderators would gather by this tree, right? And I'm walking up to meet everybody, and all of a sudden, I just stopped, and I looked up at that tree, and you know what? It was the most realistic I'd ever seen it look before. Now, if you're making a big jump from like 75% brightness down to down to zero, it may take you a few minutes to adjust, but trust me, your graphics will improve, your device will perform better, and most importantly, your battery is going to last longer. So when I did this, I started making it to the end of events, right? And I found out, people hung out afterwards, and I got to be a part of all that, and I wanted more. I wanted to keep going. And around this time, I found out one of the reasons that Go users get kind of a bad reputation in Altspace. And the reason for this is on the Oculus Go, we have a very sensitive microphone. It's extremely powerful. And when the sound comes out of your ear straps, it gets picked up by that microphone and projected out in Altspace. Now, the problem is we don't know what we sound like in Altspace. I actually was presenting events in Altspace for a long time without realizing what I sounded like. Right, and I didn't find out until we got a YouTube channel. You'll notice Raven Eye is floating in the air above you all right here in the back there. And if you want to feel Altspace famous, you can turn around and wave, to the camera if you want. It's going out on YouTube. We got Shadow right here in the blue. We got Viral Gamer here in the green. Robot there. We got R. Asimov. We got Yee helping us moderate today. We got Lauren in the back helping us moderate. We got Frank in the back by the bar. Come on in Altspace. It's a lot of fun. I think you're going to enjoy it. But yeah, you don't know what you sound like in here. And so you can be in the campfire and you can be walking up to a group of people that are talking. They're all hanging out. Like, I'm standing here, I'm talking to Kingston. I'm like, hey, Kingston, what's going on? Did you hear about that thing? I can't believe that happened. Right. And all of a sudden I hear a voice and it sounds very familiar to me because it's my voice. It's coming out of your avatar. And then all of a sudden, the person will walk up to you and go, are you on a go? Are you on a go? And that can be really off-putting when that happens. But what they're experiencing is off-putting too, because they're hearing their voice coming out of your avatar. And with the sound delay, it has the effect of when somebody's copying you, and it makes it difficult to follow a conversation, so you become hard to talk to. Fortunately, it's very easy to solve this. You're going to notice on the top of your headset on the left-hand side, there's two buttons. One's a volume down button, the left one, and right next to that, and on the right-hand side, is a volume up button. Whenever you press either of these, you're going to see these vertical bars appear in the air. Some will be solid and some will be clear. What you're going for is 4 clear bars on the right side. This will set your volume at a level where the sound isn't going to be as easily picked up by the microphone. Now, this comes at a price. All right. Sometimes you're going to have to strain and struggle to hear people. You ask them to repeat themselves, but you have to remember something. You still have one good hand in the real world, right? And you can try this now. Take your left hand and hold it up to your ear and cup it, and you're going to notice that my voice gets louder. If you, make a cup shape with your hand, hold it up to your ear, you're going to notice my voice increases. That's a way to temporarily increase the volume without actually, having it broadcast through your avatar. All right, but one surefire way to fix this is to get a pair of headphones or, maybe inexpensive earbuds. Like I got some, inexpensive earbuds that fix that. And then after that, the only sound coming out of your avatar is going to be your own. Right. And, you may occasionally have a family member come in and say, hey, are you still on that thing? Right. And if that happens, I recommend getting them their own headset. This way, you can bring them in the VR and share it with them and, and you can show them how great it is in here. Right. But, when I did this, I saw, because once I added the earbuds and that solved that problem, I started thinking, what else can I add to the device to make it perform better? Right. And, how can I solve some of these problems? Right. And, hold on, who's on the stage? Okay. Don't want to do that, Yi. All right. So, excuse me, everybody. I had somebody's backstage. It's not cool. All right. So one thing you got to have, keep in mind is I came up with what I call a Go Plus experience, and I call it this because I would go to places that were, heavy performant, and like I'd see other Go users crashing, but I would remain. And sometimes it'd get a little choppy, right? But other users, they disappear, right? And my device became like super reliable when I show you these things that that I'm about to talk about. And to talk about them, I got to discuss these products behind me. So I just want to make sure everybody understands that it's not the products that matter, right? It's the ideas behind them. You don't have to use these exact ones. These are just the ones that worked for me. You can find what works best for you. And the temptation is going to be to write this stuff down. You don't need to do that either. It's difficult to write things down while you're in VR. We made it, super easy to find this stuff. What you can do is if you go to altvr.com and you'll see in the upper left where it says channels. If you click on that, you're going to see all these Altspace event channels, right? And down toward the bottom, you're going to see Ravenhall events, like it says on the sound booth up there. And if you click on that, you get taken to our event page, right? And on the left-hand side of that page, you're going to see all these products listed there, links to these products. You're also going to see a join Discord button if you want to help us put on events like this. You're also going to see in the upper right, the most important button on the internet, right? It is. That's where they keep it. It's the subscribe button. And when you press that, it lets Altspace know that you enjoy our content. It also, we don't get paid to do this. So it, makes us feel good every time we see that number go up or when we see subscribers go up on the YouTube channel. Also, we have links on the YouTube channel. If you go to any Go Time on YouTube, you're going to see these products listed out on the bottom in the description. All right. So we made it easy for you to find this stuff. You don't have to write it down. All right. Now, that being said, what these products are and what they do, you have the Anker Power Core battery pack up there at the top. Right. And I figured this would solve my power problems. Right. It's supposed to last 16 hours. I didn't think I'd ever need to, spend that much time in VR. So I figured that'd be a good way to go. Right. And, when I ordered it, I heard at the time people were having problems charging the device. Or the Go hadn't been out that long, and people were already starting to have problems charging it. And I thought it was because if you ever notice how tight that cable is when you plug it in to charge, right? All that wear and tear of doing that every day is going to loosen the connection and make it charge less effectively. Right? And a lot of people were starting to have that issue. So I got this MagSafe cable, and one tip of it stays in a device, the other end goes into the battery pack, and it's held in place by a magnetic connector, which ends up being a great safety feature because if you're in VR and you turn your head, right, and it pulls on that cable, right, instead of your headset sliding down your face and, you're feeling like your world is turning upside down, you're like, oh no, I'm falling, something bad's happening. It just pops off, right? And you don't even have to come out of VR to fix it. You can just pick it up, hold it near your headset, and it'll kind of thunk into place. And if your microphone's open, it's going to make that thunk sound. Your friend's going to be like, what was that? And you're going to be like, that's power. That's what that was. You don't have to say that. It's going to not make it work any better. It's just something I used to like to do. And if you want to carry that on, feel free. And this solved my power problems, right? I didn't have like any issues staying in for a long time in Altspace. And then I discovered I was overheating all the time. Now, the Oculus Go is cooled by the faceplate on the device, and that faceplate is installed by hand. And because of that, people experience different results with it. Sometimes some people overheat, every half hour. For some people, it's every 20 minutes. For some people, I knew one guy that overheated every 2 minutes. The very first Go time we had, somebody would overheat so bad that the side of their headset actually became misshapen because the plastic of it actually melted. Right. And this kind of scared me. Right. I was thinking, we got to take care of this. We got to fix this. And I'd also heard at the time people were using ice packs and frozen peas and stuff like that to, keep it down. And the thing of it is, if you do that, that's going to create condensation, and water, electricity on your face. It's probably not a good combination. And the people I know that used to do this, right, they joke about it. But you know what? They went through more than one device. So I don't think it's good to do. But what we did come up with was this USB mini fan here. This is by a company called AC Infinity, right? And this will make sure you never overheat again. And the way that it works is when the day mine arrived, actually, I was set to moderate at the meditation event. And a meditation event takes place in this incredible space. It's on top of a mountain. You got like smoke coming up from the bowl. You got, sun coming down through the fog. It's a really incredible space. But for some reason, every time I helped out there, I would overheat exactly 20 minutes in. It was always 20 minutes. And on the day that my fan arrived, I was set to moderate there. And first, I had to figure out a way to attach it to my device. Now, it's important that the silver part face the faceplate so the airflow is going the right way, right? And then I got 2 hair bands. I know people who have used string. You can attach it to the device somehow. I used 2 large hair bands, and I put those on, the ear straps, and I crossed it over like an X, and I made, and I attached it to the round rubber feet on the fan. And then I came in Altspace to test it out. And yeah, I had all those wires coming down from my headset. So much for wireless, right? And if you've seen Star Trek and the Borg, I felt like that. Made some jokes about that. And I came in, into the event, and I went up to the host, Jeremy, really nice guy, and I asked him, I said, can you hear my fan? And he said, not at all. You can't tell. And so I turned it up to medium. I said, how about now? And he says, you can hear that, but it's really not bad. And I said, okay. I turned it up to full blast. And before I could even ask him, so I could definitely hear that. You sound like you're in a wind tunnel. You need to make it stop. And I went, okay. And I turned down the volume, the power of it to the lowest setting. And on the lowest setting, right, I never had to turn it up again. So on the lowest setting, this is what happened, right? I went through that event at 20 minutes where I would usually overheat. It came and it went, and I didn't overheat, right? The entire event finished and didn't overheat at all. And I was like, this is great. Oh, but where's the limit? How far can I push it? Right. So I went to another event, and at that other event, I went all the way through that event, did not overheat, wasn't running out of power. Everything was great. I went to a third event, didn't overheat at all. Right. And then I went to my home space to hang out with some friends. I was doing that for a while. And then it finally happened. For the very first time, I left Altspace by choice because I wanted to, because I was tired. I didn't leave because I was overheating. I didn't leave because I ran out of power. I left because I wanted to. And it was the very first time that ever happened. It had never happened before, and it wouldn't be the last. After that, I became super involved in the community. I became a very active moderator, very active event host, and you can too. Now, none of the, just make a couple of small, inexpensive adjustments. None of the stuff's very expensive. This fan is about $10 or $11 US. This MagSafe cable is about $7 US, and the most expensive thing up there is the battery pack. That one's about $30 US, and you can get them in different sizes, capacity, colors. Like maybe you don't need 14 hours, battery capacity, or 16 hours. Maybe you're only in VR for a few hours a night. Maybe you only need one that runs for a few hours. To, give your battery a little extra boost there, right? Now, that being said, like this basically solved it. It made everything very reliable, but there were still problems. All right. And these are more like annoyances. And I'm going to show you how to manage these. Right. Like, let's say you're hanging out and you go turn left to say something to Tristan, but instead of turning left, you go straight. And you're like, that was weird. What was that? And then you go to turn right to say something to Baron over there. And instead of turning right, you go straight again. And you're like, wait a minute, that's not where I want it to go at all. And then you press down on your controller to back up so you can see him better. And you go straight again. You're like, what's going on? And you start to panic. And you start pressing the buttons. And everything you do, he's making you go forward. And the next thing you know, you're standing inside of an admin. There is nothing more frightening than standing inside of an admin. When I was in there, I saw things that keep me up at night. I saw things about user accounting. I saw things about the future of Altspace. It was frightening. I can't even talk about it. It's just really it's bad, right? But what I can talk about is how do you fix this, right? If this happens to you, what you're going to do is you're going to develop a reflex, all right? And what happens is, let's say I turn left, and I, instead of turning left, I go straight. What I'm going to do is I'm going to take my thumb and I'm going to swipe it very gently. Don't press down across the trackpad. So you're just gently gliding your thumb over the trackpad. And the direction you do this in doesn't matter. It can be from right to left. It can be left to right. That doesn't matter. When you get to the other side, you're going to lift your thumb off completely off the pad, cross off to the other side, and come down again, and then swipe it again. So like if I go to turn left but go straight, I go swipe, 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 and then I come down in a direction I want to go, and it's usually going to take care of that. All right? Give that a try if you have any direction problems or movement issues. Another thing that can happen is occasionally you're going to notice that you put your headset on all ready to go. Like let's say you're in a rush, you're running late, you got to host an event, you got to moderate an event, right? And you're very eager to get in, you put your headset on, and you're going to see a message that says can't find controller, right? Or and what happens is your controller, maybe you found out about your headset's secret life, and they're not speaking anymore. It's become unpaired. Now this can happen if you need to put a fresh battery in your controller, but you put a fresh battery in there last night. All right. And for one reason or another, your controller has become unpaired with your headset. How do you fix this? Well, good news. You don't even have to take your headset off. You just have to remember 2 words: double down. Now, what I mean by this is the 2 buttons that are on the very bottom of your controller. If you press and hold those buttons down and don't let go, after about 4 seconds, right, what's going to happen is a little white light is going to appear on your trackpad. And this little white light, you're not going to see it if you have your headset on. But what you are going to see is when you lift your thumb back up, you're going to have your hand back. and you're going to step in that load screen, and you're going to be like, man, I am glad I went to Go Time. That Michael Forrest, he knew what he was talking about, and he told me to double down, and I got to be on time for my event, and it all worked out. So if that happens to you, you're welcome. Another thing that can happen in Altspace is you're going to notice every now and then the screen is going to go dark, right? And when this occurs, it's usually because you're out of memory. This happens across all mobile devices, not just the Go. It happens on Quest 2. Altspace has made a lot of, improvements to the performance. But why it happens is everything you see in this space here, this takes up memory, right? So you've got this big red shiny button that we use at the end of our events. When I press that and something cool is going to happen, all this stuff's in your headset. And when you're back at the campfire, as cool as this effect is, you're probably not going to be thinking about it, but your headset will, right? And what can happen is you could be in the middle of a conversation, and all of a sudden your screen will go dark. And if your microphone's still open, people will still be able to hear you. So you could tell them, I'll be right back. Then you press that bottom eject button on your controller, and you press quit, and you restart the app and come back in. The best way to deal with this is from an advanced position, right? So like if you've just been to 3 worlds and somebody says, hey, let's go to the campfire, right? You know the campfire is going to be crowded. So what you're going to do is you're going to want to clear out that temporary memory manually. And so you say, all right, I'll catch up with you. And all you do is press that bottom eject button, press quit, restart the app, come into Altspace, and rejoin your friends. It'll be like you never left. And now you know that the odds of your screen going dark is going to be a lot less. So it's a way of dealing with it from an advanced position there, right? Now, another thing, and usually around here, I give some building tips, but I'm running a little out of time here. If you like, we can go directly into the questions and comments, or if you want, I can go over, if you guys don't mind running a little bit over. If you want me to do the building tips, throw up some hearts, and if you want me to just skip over it, give me some smiles. Anybody? Taking a vote here. I need some feedback. Where's those emoji panels? Smiles are skipping over it. All right, cool. That's what we're going to do. All right, we got one who wants those tips. I'm sorry, but you're just one person who wants them, Big Ray. Looks like you're outnumbered there. I can go over that with you later if you like, though. All right, so what we're going to do is we're going to open up the panel here, and you're going to notice in your lower right, your little hand will appear that says raise hand, as if by magic. That's what, magic looks like in VR, right? If you press that raise hand button, you're going to get on my list. I'll be able to take your questions and your comments and all that kind of stuff. If you press on that, while we're waiting for that list to fill up, right? If you are on Twitter and you want to follow us, you can find us at __ Uncanny Valley, right? I know that looks like 1 underscore, but it is actually 2. All right, so nobody's pressing that raise hand button. And you guys want to skip directly to the questions and nobody has any? All right, well, that's kind of awkward, audience. All right, well, what we can do is if you have any questions or comments, right, we can take them at the Ravenhall Flight Academy, where we take you guys flying at the end of our events. And to get there, we are going to be pressing this big red shiny button, right? When we press on this, a Ravenhall Talon hovercraft is going to come right down the street, right? It's going to, and it's going to go up over those trees, and it's going to land in that backyard area. And when, that happens, we're going to go out there and we're going to meet it, right? So get ready for that, right? And if you have any questions, we'll take them there. In the meantime, if you've learned anything here today, please share it with those you come in contact with. Like, say, for example, you're standing in the campfire and somebody says, oh, no, I want to go and my face is melting because it's overheating. Tell them about the fan. Tell them our event page where they can find the fan. Tell them about Go Time, right? And, that's kind of, that you'll feel good that you help somebody, and, they'll feel better because, their problem solved. And that's kind of how we keep this thing going. All right, I'm gonna press this button now. And if you stare out the window right now, you just take a look there and you're going to see.
Ravenhall Talon aircraft in route to your
You can actually
position.
fly these things, by the way. All right, so if you come with us, you'll be able to fly those around if you like. All right, so let's go out back and meet it. Now, come on, everybody. Let's go. All right. And I'd like to thank you all for joining us today. You've been a great audience. I enjoy it a lot. Thanks for coming. And and if you have any questions or comments or anything like that, feel free to join us over at the Academy. And here it comes. It's coming down the backyard here now. It's going to pop out a blue portal that we're just going to step into. Here we go. It's landing.
Talon aircraft is now boarding outside for transport to the Ravenhall Flight Academy. Please exit the building and step into the blue light. Thank you.
All right. Thanks for coming, everybody. You've been a great audience. See you next time.